Hey everybody, Anna Sabramowicz here. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode on how to integrate storytelling into your e-learning and instructional design. And this is what I help people do. Now, one of the reasons we do this is, well, we want to flex our creative muscle, of course, and integrate some fun skills into work that we already do as e-learning and instructional designers. But the other piece is creating pieces that deeply engage people, creating pieces that people really resonate with and remember and want to finish, right? Awesome goal. So when you're crafting something that has a storytelling experience and you're trying to integrate characters into that, a lot of people look at the literary world out there and there's so much advice about writing and writing books, and that is good, but it is not necessarily what we need in order to craft really good immersive e-learning and instructionally sound experiences. So what I wanted to do today is go into maybe the three areas where I think people kind of mess up when they're doing their character development because they just overwhelm themselves. And if you can remove these three mistakes and kind of minimize them, integrating storytelling to craft better experiences will be way, way more fun. So the first mistake usually I see people make, and I'm just going to give you the overview here, the things that we're really going to talk about. So the first one is that you get attached to some details about your characters and you think you need to, I think most people think they need to include too much, or they want to include too much in their final story. And you don't want to bore people, right? So where's that balance? The other piece is that you talk to all these sources to get your information about this character and your avatar and the person who you're going to target. And sometimes we become journalists instead of creatives. So we'll get into that. And then the other piece is that what happens is you have this person in mind that is too work focused. And what does that mean? How can we take this person and make them more whole by including other aspects of their personality and of their life into that character without bloating it out of control, right? When you're designing your characters, and I really want to strip this down to like the basics, because we really, I want you to not feel like undertaking storytelling is going to be a burden on your project, or that it's going to be an issue when you're in, because it's so much more work. It really isn't. And I think these tips are actually going to really save you a lot of time. Now, before I get into it, if you're enjoying this kind of content and from this perspective, please hit that like button to let me know that you are enjoying it. If you're visiting again and you're enjoying these series, better comment, because I reply to everybody. I'd love to hear that you're using storytelling or thinking about it, or this is driving you creatively. Do it. Put it in the comments. The other thing is, if you're new to this channel, seriously, this is great. I love that you're here, especially if you're focused on instructional design and e-learning, because this is my focus here, and that's what I want. That's what I want you to get from it. So this isn't about, writing novels or doing all that kind of other stuff. It really is focused on creating meaningful learning products for adult audiences. So if you enjoy that, you better subscribe. And then what happens is the next time I release a video, which is usually twice a week, you'll get a notification. So great to have you here. Let's continue. So on to our whiteboard of awesome and truth and justice. So when you're designing your character, one of the things I say is it's really cool to have this persona, this avatar that whenever you're making decisions on their behalf or whatever happens in your learning experience, it's easy for you to be like, hey, would this person resonate with this? Would they find this valuable? So I always say, hey, find a person name this person, what is their name? And then say, okay, Google a person with this name and pick a person that looks like, your avatar now. They're fictional. They don't have to be somebody that It's just a name and a person's picture. And then just write up some details about them. Who are they? What do they do? What do they like to do in their spare time? And I get into the details of this in other videos. So check out my earlier videos for character development, how to craft fascinating characters. And I get into the specific questions that you should ask yourself to develop this one-page kind of like overview of this person. Now, here's the major things that people mess up on, because guess what? I work with people who craft storytelling experiences for a living. And when I teach my students this, sometimes this is where they mess up. And I thought this would be a great lesson for you. So one, what happens is they get too attached to minutia, too attached to details. And this is, I mean, I get this. This is supposed to be like a one-page overview, but sometimes people, you know what happens with documents, right? You just write and write and write. And one of the things that happens is you're getting this information by interviewing people, practitioners. Sometimes you're getting it from subject matter experts. And also, of course, you have your own creativity. So you're adding all this stuff in there and you draft up this awesome person. For me, I think the last time I talked about this was Patrick Jones. So Patrick Jones had this deep life. And one of the things that happens is we craft this person up and we think that we gotta make all of these details somehow nuanced to make it into our scenarios and stories. And that's not true. In fact, probably if I'm realistic, maybe 2% of this, maybe, will make it into the final experience. And the reason I say this is because this document here is to remind you who your target audience is, who you're talking to. Yes, it ends up being your character in your story, but this is for you to keep a consistent message underneath all your decisions. Like if Patrick, my character, is very shy, then the decisions that he's going to make and the choices that he's going to see as obvious to him are going to be from his perspective. So I don't need to add that. I could just say that he's very shy, or actually the best way to do it is to show it. How would you show that somebody's shy? Like they're the ones who stand in a corner at the party. They're the ones who always sneak in and sit in the back seat. They're never initiating conversations, things like that. And so what happens is if you show that this person is shy, let's say, then all I do afterwards is I use this as a reference guide when I'm crafting my decisions and my situations to see how can I challenge Patrick and put him in situations that challenge his shyness. But do I need to go into his, history? Do I need to go into what he does on his weekends? Not necessarily. But I can use that as a way to make him more relatable if I say, when he succeeds, that he gets to go home and play soccer with his kids. That's cool. That's a good win. But that has to be done strategically. So you don't want to overdo it on the details. And one of the things you have to do, and this happens with all story-based activities as you're doing them, you refine down to the simplest basics, the details that you need to convey that story. And so that takes a lot of cutting and that takes a lot of iteration. So save, you will probably put too much into your detail into your initial character, and then you can take a whole bunch away because we don't really need that much to resonate with people. This is for you. This character thing is for you. And you don't really need to do it in such detail in the story. That's all I'm saying. All right. Number 2, this one's pretty difficult. So what happens is we're talking to people about their work. We're talking to people about their stories, their experiences. So we're pulling scenarios from them. Now, one of the things that happens is we think that we're journalists. But we're not. We're not journalists. We're creative directors. We're creatives, period. So what happens is just because somebody tells you a story a certain way, doesn't mean you have to keep it that way. Your goal, the number one thing you got to do is you got to make that story exciting. You got to make that story memorable. You got to make the decisions challenging. You're amping everything up. So that means that you don't actually need to say it exactly how it was. You can change the details in order to make it fit better, to make a better story. Like, for example, Aaron Sorkin, when he was writing the script for The Network, which is the story about Mark Zuckerberg and how Facebook was created. One of the things that he had is when Mark was about to sit down and write a program for something like, it was like the preamble of Hot or Not or something like that. What he was doing is he basically was going to go to the fridge and probably drink like 4 or 5 beers because he wanted to get, really drunk because he was angry when he was doing that part. And Aaron Sorkin thought, people drink beer when they're just casually just being, casual. Like they'll come home and they'll have a beer with dinner just to chill. but he wanted to show intentionality. So what he did is, instead of making Mark drink a beer, what he did is he made him mix a vodka and orange juice. I think that's how I remember it. It was some sort of orange drink. But when you do that, that changes everything, because that means you've got premeditation. And that's a different kind of thing. Now, of course, we could be like, yeah, but he didn't actually drink. That guy doesn't drink vodka juice, orange juice, screwdrivers. He only drinks beer. That's not important. What's important is with the details that we select, with the way we sequence our events and our stories. That's what's important, and how people feel as they're going through that story, and do they connect with the character. That's what's important. It's based on a true story. Now, if you're emulating work situations, obviously it's important for them to be accurate. It's important for the consequences to be accurate. All that stuff needs to be accurate, but it doesn't all have to be based on, it doesn't have to be super factual. It just needs to be true enough to make sense, because the thing that we're doing with our storytelling is we're really trying to connect with people. We're trying to make them feel something. We're trying to get them to focus on us for like 5 minutes, right? And if you're really concerned with facts instead of amping up the consequences, like that's why people get all messed up with consequences when they craft their scenarios. They're like, oh, that's too amped up. You lose so much emotion and impact if you water things down, because they're already disconnected from it, because it's not real. So if you want to have people resonate, you have to be strategic with the selection of the details that you choose and the sequence that you put them in, because you are a creative storyteller at this point. What you're doing is you're trying to create an emotion in them. So you're going to amp things up. If somebody said, yeah, well, I was a little upset, and your character is like, well, that's not good enough. I need this person to really be upset. It was like, well, they went home and, they smashed their favorite, glass thing because they were so angry. They threw the plate against the wall. And nobody does that, but that has impact visually and emotionally. And that's what you're trying to do. So don't get attached to being a journalist. Be a good journalist while gathering the information. But then you have the creative license to create something that is going to grip people. And that's basically what Aaron Sorkin did with the network. You think coding is exciting? No. So he needed to create a really good story, and that's exactly what he did. Now, the third and last awesome place where people, well, it's not awesome because people mess this up, and I want you not to do this, all right? So when you're talking to people at work, they're people, right? And a lot of us, when we craft these experiences, we think that we focus on their work persona, this person who, when they come to work, they put on like this hat, and they're the person at work. And that happens. I get it. People have, that's why we have these like company picnics and stuff, so you can actually get to know people as they are as people, because at work, a lot of people wear facades. They wear their workplace face, and that's cool. That's, I get it. But don't assume that people's motivation works so single dimensionally. People are multidimensional, and the reason people work are for multiple reasons. A lot of times when I'm just going to put my little exciting, where are you? Here we go. Okay. So work person exclusively. Now, when you ask people, why do people work? What really motivates people? And some people will scream out the word money like it's the only thing. It's like, money, people want money. Maybe, but people want money to achieve certain things. Some people, and if you check out stuff by Daniel Pink, some people don't work for money. For them, they work for free time. They work for recognition. They work for to have a sense that they're contributing to something bigger than themselves. So there's a lot of reasons why people go to work. Money's one of them. Like, I know a lot of people that work because they love being with people. They don't even need the money anymore. They just want to work because they love collaborating with other people and being a part of a team. So what I want you to consider is that the work person, and only looking at crafting a character that only is focused on why they work and they want to be the best at work and all those things. You got to dig deeper than that. The way to do this is to really say, when you're writing out this persona or just talking to the people, is, ask a lot of why questions. Like, people be like, why do you want to be the best salesperson? It's like, well, because I want that raise. Why? Why do you want the raise? Well, so I can get the nice car. Why do you want the nice car? So I can pick up my daughter at her school in a nice car. Why? Well, because I've always been the person who had to go around the corner because I didn't want, her to be embarrassed to get into the car. And I want to be the kind of dad that, she's proud that I'm her dad. Why? Well, because I wasn't proud of my dad. And I always told myself that I wanted to be the kind of dad that my kids would be proud of. Does that change things? Hell yeah. So initially, of course, everybody's going to say, because I want the raise. You got to dig deeper. You got to find out now. So now my Patrick Jones, well, he's a dad and he wants to make his kids proud. Now, that doesn't mean, you're like, oh, it's all altruistic. And of course, he's working for the money. But there's a reason behind those things. And what happens is, if you discover what they are, you can create a character that people can actually connect with. Because if I, read a scenario about a guy who just wants to be the best at work, well, yeah, okay, but that seems so flat. Like, he sounds like he floats in space. He has no connection to the outside world, and therefore I can't really resonate with that person, because who does just that? There's a reason. And so those reasons make somebody human. Those reasons are the reasons why we connect with these characters, right? So I hope that kind of contextualized and helped you a bit. Obviously, for deeper character development, I have other videos. Check them out. They're in this playlist. And also, if you're listening on the podcast, then definitely one of the things you want to do is check out the YouTube videos, because I do whiteboard awesomeness and it's pretty fun. The other thing I want you to consider is that you're going to get a lot of advice from places that don't actually develop e-learning and instructional design pieces. And so I think that's for a lot of people. And let me know in the comments if that feels like that for you, or where you get stuck when it comes to like integrating storytelling, because it's such a hot topic. Everybody's like storytelling in basically every industry. And as far as I'm concerned, we own storytelling. Storytelling is for people to learn from, and it has been used for thousands and thousands of years to help us remember lessons and pass those lessons on to other people. And we're wired for it. You've heard that before. Now what we're doing is we're taking this magnificent strategy back from places like entertainment and marketing and product sales. We're taking it back and integrating it back into storytelling, and we have to, or into e-learning and learning experiences. But the way we do that with our new world and the new way that we're presenting information and the availability for us to give a lot of autonomy to the people that we're teaching, that is a different medium. And also, we have to wear a lot of different hats. Like, you're not exclusively a writer, right? A lot of people are like, I'm just a writer. Oh, that's great. I'm a writer, a developer, a project manager, a journalist, you're mediator, you're so many different things. And so in order for you to do a great job, what I want to do is provide you with some tools that will help you integrate these excellent engagement pieces into your work without making you feel like it's going to be a burden. Because the better that your projects are, the better you feel, the better results you get. Realistically, you just end up just enjoying your work more. And that's what we want to do here, right? So if this sounds like something that really interests you and you actually want to not just watch these YouTube videos, but actually talk to me about maybe becoming a really bona fide, adding this skill to your skill set, stacking it on top of already solid instructional design skills or e-learning development skills, I'd love to talk to you. Underneath the video or in the description for the podcast, you'll find a link to schedule a Zoom call with me. Now, the Zoom call is really about us talking about what your vision is, because let me tell you, this isn't for everybody. Not everybody wants to get good at storytelling. Not everybody wants to integrate this into their repertoire. Some people are happy just doing scenarios. And if that's the case, we should talk anyways, because there's a big part of scenario design and storytelling that actually meshes really well together. And one of the things I love to do on those calls is to really figure out what's been holding you back, because a lot of you are probably catching these things in snippets and wanting to get somewhere, but don't know where to exactly start, or what is it that the next step would be to actually start doing this with some serious momentum. So if that's interesting to you and that sounds like something you'd like to explore, I'd love to jump on a call with you and just talk about what that means. And if it sounds like it's something that you really want to get into after we talk about what it means to become great at storytelling, then maybe that's something we can do together. That would be absolutely awesome. Now, I'm going to be putting out more videos about development of characters, of interactive stories, of integrating storytelling into scenarios and e-learning projects, all of that. If that resonates with you, make sure you subscribe so that you see the next video that's coming up. And also leave me a comment. Let me know how you enjoyed this, and then where are you feeling like there's like this hold up or something's happening that you get stuck on. And if there's projects that you're working on where you're thinking that there might be something that you need a little bit of help on, I'd love to talk to you. It would be absolutely fantastic to brainstorm together with you. Okay? All right. So I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video, friends. Take care. Bye.